Thank you for joining us this morning at Cabinetry 101. I'm Stephanie Lemon, one of the owners of Abacus Cabinetry, and today I have with me is Gabe Powers, my partner here in crime at Abacus, and I brought him on specifically to talk about the materials that we use for both interior and exteriors of cabinets. Welcome, Gabe. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Gabe, can you kind of give us a little bit of a rundown of some basic kind of interiors and exteriors of what we use in our cabinetry construction?
Yeah, you bet. So what we most commonly use for the interior construction for our cabinetry is this Melamine product. And what this is that it's actually a particle board core with a paper laminate applied to it. And this paper laminate actually is a very durable material. It's easy to clean. It's fairly water resistant, and as far as the particle board core goes, it provides fairly solid construction. It allows us to use conformat screws to actually attach the sides to the top, and it allows us it gives us the flexibility to actually put cabinets together and take them back apart again if we ever need to do that.
Is that what we use for cabinetry construction?
Absolutely not. But before I move on to the other materials, let's just talk about the variations of melamines that are available to us. So melamine is, because it's a paper product, it comes in large rolls, and it can be applied to the particle board at just about any phase of the production. And most of our vendors actually lay out their own melamines here locally by buying paper from some vendor that they have. And it's available in just about any color that you can possibly imagine. One of the more common ones that we use is this wood grain country maple, and that is fairly close to an actual maple veneer. However, it's still a paper product and has the durability of any of the other elements. So, now moving on to another common construction material for the interiors of cabinets is pre-finished maple plywood. You may see this from other cabinet shops. That's something that could be used in something that's a more wet environment and would be just...
Is this a marine grade product?
It is not. However, it does, as it's plywood, it's not a particle board core. It will endure a more wet environment than the particle board would if it's in a consistently wet environment.
What else do we have here, Gabe? We've got quite a variety. We kind of covered the melamines a little bit. And just to note, you guys, we are in our shipping and receiving area. We do receive all of these products in 4x8 sheets in our warehouse behind us. And this is where we stock everything before it goes out to production. Yeah, it's pretty exciting in here.
Yeah, you can see that we've got multiple units of sheet goods here, ranging from a really beautiful Chinook product down here on the bottom that's waiting to be cut up into some beautiful doors for a particular project, and then moving into a melamine, and then this is a unit of MDF. I think, to your point, Stephanie, it's important for us to talk about MDF specifically. MDF is what we use for our paint grade cabinetry. And so if you select a specific custom color which we're capable of producing, we use an MDF, a high quality MDF that gets sanded nice and smooth, and then we apply a conversion varnish that can be customized as far as the color goes to just about anything you can possibly imagine. So I've got a few color chips here that are just some examples.
Not some of the brighter colors that we've seen before, but they're definitely colors. Yeah.
Some of us are just more dull than others.
I like those knife sharpening guys. Yeah.
So MDF, we will cut this into the dimensions of specific doors and drawer faces that are applied to our cabinetry. And then we typically edge band this with maple veneer edge banding that takes paint really well. So this is something that would represent a smaller door for a cabinet, and this would go to paint, get board and for hinges or a door face, for instance. Along with moving on from MDF, we kind of move into some of the other materials for doors and drawer faces specifically. Textured melamines is sort of the next material to talk about. And again, along with the flat melamines that we would use for interior construction, textured melamines have a lot of variation and just a lot of variety, I guess, when it comes to what's available, and there's a huge range of different quality sides of it as well.
They also simulate a lot of wood products out there, so where you can have the grain matched or in both vertical and horizontal direction. We do a lot of those projects here, wouldn't you say?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's something that people would use for like a pantry or a bathroom, or you know, a lot of people are using them for even kitchens and some of the more common spaces now, because the product has come along so incredibly and been developed into such a high quality look, and there's no maintenance that goes along with it. If you think about a wood veneer, which we'll get to here next, a wood veneer requires refinishing every so often, and they tend to change color over time. These
From sun bleaching?
Correct.
Yeah.
The sun bleaching will make them change color a lot of times. But these textured melamines, they tend to stay the color that they were designed to stay, and they're again pretty resistant to chemicals that you would use for cleaning or anything that would tarnish a more natural product.
They're great for if you have kids too. Very durable for all the bikes and stuff that you run into them.
They are.
Yeah.
One limitation to a textured melamine, and this kind of depends on what quality of textured melamine you've selected, is how scratch resistant they are. So if you're selecting a textured melamine for your house, just keep in mind what sort of use it will be, what sort of traffic it will have around it, and you know, if your kids are running around with scissors or something, you know, maybe that's something to consider. Yeah. We've got acrylics. These are, again, a laminate product that gets applied to an MDF core. So going back to the MDF, this MDF is used as a core for a lot of different things. These textured melamines sometimes have an MDF core, a lot of times it's just a particle board core. Kind of depends on what level of quality you're doing. The acrylics, though, it's actually a thin layer, a laminate of acrylic, and it gets laid up onto an MDF core and edge-banded similarly to any
Similar to
other
what we have behind us here.
Yeah, and those are a high quality option for high gloss and matte materials, and there are also some that have like sparkles in them. I mean, there's a lot of different options when it comes to acrylics, and they actually have a really nice feel to them. It's a really nice.
Very smooth, easy to clean off, look clean. Do they come in texture similar to like a textured melamine? Do you know?
They don't. They're all flat.
They're all very flat panels. So you're getting these typically in a flat color or plain. They do come in the option of some shaker doors and some a little bit more elaborate, or you could do the traditional smooth modern flat option too.
Yeah. It's a really contemporary look. People have tried to incorporate it into some of the transitional, I would call it, aesthetics in a house where, back to Stephanie's point, you do have the option to make them a shaker. I think one of our vendors actually sells a door that's it's got a style that runs diagonally through the door to kind of represent an old barn door or something along those lines. This material that Stephanie just this is actually a Rayhouse product, and it's called Crystal. And what it is it's probably hard to pick up on the camera, but this has actually got a layer.
Put it up there.
Yeah, it's actually, if you turn it sideways, you can see that there's actually a pretty thick layer of almost glass-like material applied to the core material, and then there's a color behind it. So it kind of gives it a three-dimensional look. And that actually has a unique edge banding that gets applied to it that has a clear layer at the top as well. And so when you look at it from the side, it almost looks like it's got a laminated piece of glass on the surface of it. It's pretty neat stuff.
Definitely one of my favorites.
This particular mint color is her favorite one.
I do like that one. It's a sea glass.
So then at the top of the line, we've got wood veneers, and this is a piece of walnut here that's been clear coated. Wood veneers have been used for thousands of years. think in a future one of these Cabinetry 101s we'll start to talk about the way that veneers are actually used and applied to the core material.
3 sessions from now we will. Yeah.
And how that's used and why it's used as opposed to a solid hardwood, which is much less common in cabinetry, specifically if you're doing slab doors like this. So just to kind of remind people from last week, the difference between a slab door versus a profiled door. Profiled door has got a panel in the middle, and that panel could be, this is a particular paint grade door, so it's got an MDF panel with a hardwood frame around it.
And rails and stiles,
yeah,
whereas
these are
this
called
is
rails and stiles.
flat.
Versus a slab door. In a slab door, you want to remain very flat. And if this was a glued up series of hardwood, it would tend to warp and not remain flat. So we use an MDF core generally for doors and door faces. And then if it's a wood species, specific wood species that the customer has selected, we'll use a veneer on this.
These are some of the more traditional pieces that we'll use, woods that we'll use, both the walnut and the oak for our veneered products. But we do a couple unusual ones. We had some requests for some Madagascar ebony, which is a beautiful product, hard to find, but it turns out very well, and we will be also covering that in our veneer series. But I think that pretty much covers just a quick overview of the materials that we work with here at Abacus. And we do some very custom options, so if you guys are looking for something outside of the box, we're definitely here to do it. Thank you very much for joining us. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to take them now. If they answer them.
No questions?
Okay, phew. No problem. Well, hope you guys can all join us next week when we'll be just covering strictly textured melamines, kind of going into why they got a bad rep and how far they've come from in the last couple of years, and why they're a more viable option than a lot of the products that we have out there. But see you next Wednesday at 9:15 a.m. And thanks for joining us, Gabe.
Yeah, I'm glad to have been here. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.